Hey team, Master Schiele here. Today we're going to talk about building an at-home dojo. Let's get started. So whether it's a dojo, we call it at our school a dojang because of our art, martial arts studio, whatever you decide to call it, it's important that you do have a place at home to train. If you've ever watched any of my other videos, I always talk about the importance of what happens at home. The self-discovery of martial arts is a big key component in your training. Remember, it's not always what you do in your school, but what you do at home on your own time that's going to really take you to that next level. If you're not doing that, you are missing a big key component, a big part of your training, so don't miss out on that. So with that, let's get started. Now, the first thing we're gonna hit is the clear area. It's important that you have a very clear area. So if you're attaching your martial arts studio to an at-home gym, for example, you wanna make sure it's not connected to anything else. You don't wanna be tripping over a treadmill. You don't wanna have a weight bench getting in your way. You need a very clear area. The great thing with this is you don't need equipment. Remember, the equipment is you. You're the martial artist, you're the weapon, you're the tool, you are the focus point. So you really don't need a lot of equipment when it comes to having your at-home dojo, right? So let's move forward. The clear area is number one. Make sure there's nothing in the way. Now the next part of this is going to be the flooring. In here, in our school here, we have obviously professional martial art grading flooring, but there's different levels of it. So I'm going to kind of go over that. The first one is a rug on a floor. That's a really great place to start because when you do a roll of a floor and you have that floor and you just put a rug on it, that's all you need, right? So that's actually how us old school martial artists started. We just had a floor, throw a rug on top, we are good to go. Over the years, we really got into the mats, and the mats they're nice, I can't lie. We all enjoy the mats, but there's different levels of mats too, and it really depends on what is gonna suit you. Now, these are professional school mats for our school, but at home, you can even do puzzle mats, right? You can have the puzzle mats that kind of fit together. They're a lot cheaper. Here's the area that I would really recommend though, whether you go for this style or the other style, or you just do a rug on the ground. I would say 12 by 12 is a very good place to start. 12 feet by 12 feet. In fact, when you kind of look at these mats out here, they go about 3 feet width to about 6 feet long. So about 6 mats can do it. Now bigger is always better, right? But I think a 12 by 12 area is really good starting point for stretching, for basic forms, for really just being able to practice at home. So that is the first thing, is your flooring. Let's go over the second thing. The second thing is going to be your walls. Now, walls, very simple. What I would do, two things. I would make sure, it's a little bright, right? You don't want a dungeon. You want to make sure that it has more of a bright feel. In the school here, it's nice and bright. And then if you look at the other walls, I'm not going to turn the camera, but we do have a black wall here and some red, but we kind of went with different colors, right? Because if we just went black, it makes it feel very dark and very cramped. So making sure it feels light, I think that's going to help lift the spirits and have a good training area. With that on the wall, I would absolutely recommend mirroring. Mirroring is so important. Why? Well, you need to look in the mirror. You need to make sure you are training the correct way. So that mirror really helps your forms. It helps what you're doing. It helps making sure you can do little course corrections, right? A lot of times when I see people start martial arts, they're punching and they're just a little off-centered from where their nose is because they're focusing on just straight with their arms. If you have a mirror, you can actually see where you're striking, right? So mirroring, very important. So we have the floor, we have the walls. Let's hit the next part. The next part is kind of where we're getting into some of the training equipment. Now, bags are a good thing to train with. You don't need those. Remember, the best thing you have is floor and a mirror. That's it. If you have floor and a mirror, you're good to go. However, I do like bags. Bags are fun. Bags are something that you can strike and you can just take some aggression out on. You can just work on your power and your speed and your striking. So they are fun. There's two main style of bags. There's the self-standing bags like we have right here, and there's the hanging bags like you think about a traditional boxing hanging bag. Now, with those two bags, they both have their pros and their cons. The reason that we have these kind of bags is because they don't have a lot of space, right? If you have a hanging bag, you can't use that area for anything else. It's very difficult to take that bag off. With these kind of bags, you just move it. It's pretty simple. Side note, if you ever get these bags, don't put sand or rocks in them. Trust me on that. Water only. It's a lot easier down the road whenever you have to move, okay? So never ever use sand or rocks in the base of those kind of bags, okay? Anyways, going forward, the hanging bags, those are really great because they have more to them. It's harder to strike. It's a little bit more fun. You can really blast it without, if you hit these really hard, you'll knock them over, right? With a swinging bag, you're not gonna knock it over. You'll just make it move, right? So they do have their pros and cons. If I were to be honest, I would probably say at home, something like this style would be great. If you have the room, this style and possibly even a hanging bag. But remember that hanging bag, if you're limited on space, it takes up a lot of area. So you don't have that area once you put it up. That's the reason we don't have it here. All right, moving forward, the next one. This is kind of the gimmicky style of the martial arts if it's for at home. And that's a training mitt, okay? Mitts, shields, we have the clappers, any of those training tools, the whole purpose of them is you need a partner. If you don't have a partner to train with, you don't need it, okay? So the mitts are great if you do have a training partner, I'll be honest. So if you have a training partner, if you have somebody at home that's gonna hold the mitt for you and you hold it for them, what's gonna happen is, yes, I would absolutely recommend it. Get a $25 training mitt. They're great, it's something fun you can work with. But again, if you don't have somebody at home to use it with, it's very gimmicky. You're never gonna use it. There's really hard to use those mitts if you don't have somebody with you with that. So, 3 things I'd recommend: a bag, mirroring, and your flooring. Let's get into some other bonus material that I think would really help take your at-home studio to the next level. So the first one is going to be awards. Any awards that you've ever earned, I'd put them up. It's motivation. At my house, I have all my awards up, and it's something I look over to, and some of them are from when I was a kid. Guess what? I still love them because it brings back memories to me, and it brings back a time where I really was that champion and I worked as hard as I possibly could. So I'm big on awards. If you are, I definitely think putting them up is some motivation. It shows where you came from, your past. There's a lot to that. So I would put those up. The next thing I would recommend is some wording. Some wording that is important to you. Something like black belt is a white belt that never quits. You can do this. Anything you can think of. You know, the more you sweat, there's so many cool different sayings, right? But what happens is something that's really good for you. Something that could be, you look at and you go, you know what? I'm in. I need to train. I'm ready to do that. So putting something up on the wall, even if it's a little poster with some motivation on it, that would be something I would recommend. All right, last one. This is kind of wrapping up this whole video. That at-home studio is no good if you don't use it. It's no good if you don't use it. So you have to use it. I would set up a schedule. Say, what days in the week are you going to use your at-home studio? If you do that and you really use it, you are going to take yourself to that next level. Remember, it does no good to set it all up just to have it sit. That's the problem with most people. Let's be honest, many have done that. You have a treadmill at home, and what does it become? It becomes a clothes rack, right? You don't want that to happen with your at-home studio. When you're taking up real estate, you need to use it. And if you use it often, you're going to always appreciate it. I hope this video helped. Please do subscribe and do hit my other videos. I know you'll love them. Take care, and I'll see you in our next one. Take care, guys.